Hi, everybody. I am so glad you made it here today. Oh, I am, I'm just filled with love and so excited about being in this class with you guys. Um, so first thing, just want to share a few fun facts. Um, so I have this beautiful background picked out for you guys for the class. Due to circumstances, I am not going to be having my virtual background today, and I'll tell you all about that in a few minutes. Um, so let's just take a moment, and I want you to connect in to the deepest part of you, the most magical, the most alive, the part of you that is true. Hmm. On this, oh, wait, hold on one second. Me, okay. Oh, okay. So as we connect into the deepest part of ourselves, I want you to notice the love that is already there. And you don't even have to go searching for it. What I want you to do is just let it reveal itself to you. Let it fill you up. And when it fills you up, I want you to feel like you're actually bathing in love. So not only is it filling you up from the inside, but you feel it energetically from the outside too. It's like you are just swimming in a big ocean of love. And that's who you really are. And what I'd love to do today is bring you more fully into that. So, um, so one just a few logistics to cover as we go forward. I actually do like to have my webinars be interactive, and so you're welcome, at any time during the webinar to use the raised hand feature within Zoom. If you don't know where it is, it's either on your Zoom bar or it is under reactions. If you click on reactions, you'll find your raised hand there. So, as I'm going along, I have no issues taking in questions. Now, the second, oops, hold on a second. I have somebody texting me. Who's trying to get into the webinar? Hold on a second. The other thing I want to tell you about is this really fun thing that happened this morning. My internet's been going in and out all day. And so you may see that I have a second panelist that has joined us, Maria. She has wonderfully agreed to be there in case my internet goes out when I fall out of the webinar to keep the webinar going. And I have a hotspot on my phone, so I have no doubt that I'll be able to jump back in within minutes. But I just want to make you aware that we're having some fun over my house today. Okay, so let's see. If you give me 1 minute, I am going to try to send the webinar link to the person who is looking for it. A whole new dynamic is coming into this class than I fully expected. And not only are we going to be playing with unconditional love of people, we're also going to be playing with unconditional love of circumstances. This is just with very humorous going on. Okay. So what if you could play in the center of your being all the time? What if it was natural for you to do that? What if that is truly who you really are and not the perception filter that clouds your awareness most of the time? So, what if there's more to life than has been revealed to us? So, my invitation to everybody right now is be in the wonder and the experiment of it and let go of everything you think you know about who you are, who we are, and what life is about. So, a little known thing about these monthly classes is even though they can each be standalone, they're actually building towards something. And in that building, we're touching on the different aspects of reality to help you see beyond your filters of perception. And so today is about connecting you in with the heart that is beyond perceptions. And my next class is going to be connecting you to the being that's beyond perceptions. And there's so much more possible in life than we can imagine. Okay, so this is a fun thing to share with you guys about what's possible. I'm gonna unblur my back. Well, actually, no, I don't. I think I can do this. Um, so I have a guest star that wants to show up today. These beautiful, beautiful flowers. Can you see how vibrant and alive they are? And how fully bloomed they are? And like you can see, nothing is falling off, nothing is starting to die. What if I were to tell you that somebody bought these flowers for me Wednesday morning at the supermarket? They were not in water for a couple of hours, about an hour. They're saying about an hour before they were given to me. And if you're not counting, that was 7 days ago. And these flowers look like they're fresh. And the funny thing is they're actually fresher now than they were when I received them. This is the magic of life. This is how vital, like how much vitality and how much like life sustains life itself through love. It's not everything we've been taught about life that sustains us. And so the flowers wanted to make an appearance and say hi to you guys because they're just amazing, amazing beings. And so are you. This is just like what is possible in life goes beyond any of our imaginations. So let's just play in that wonder as we go through this today. Okay. So, how many of us want unconditional love in our lives? You know, how many of us have hurt traumas from our childhood? Our mothers didn't love us unconditionally. Yeah, me. Dad didn't love, like nobody loved me unconditionally. Like, please love me unconditionally. Just accept all of me. What if the answer isn't somebody else loving you unconditionally, but you loving you unconditionally? Every part of you, all aspects of you. And so how many of us are coming from that centeredness? And by the way, everybody has this. I don't care who they are and what they're looking at like. There is a center of love in everybody. Just Some people are more connected to it than others. Some people are more aware of it than others. Some more swim in that than others. Most of us, our awareness isn't in the center of our being. Our awareness is actually in perception filters that the ego, content, the stories, the beliefs, the traumas, the hurts put us in. That's usually about where that falls going on there. So what if we can shift and activate that core center of us? So that's where we come from all the time. I know, so cool. It's great. I love it. So my invitation to you is, don't just listen to the words I'm saying. Receive the vibration and frequency of unconditional love. And let that frequency and vibration activate and open up. And yes, we'll do some activations later today. Let it just open up and bring in the love that we are. Okay. So, what's the difference between conditional love and unconditional love? I mean, unconditional love is this amazing, all abiding, all awareness, just loving everything. Now, I'm going to use some examples. And I'm going to use circumstances because we're having so much fun over here. So, here's the circumstances that are happening, that's been happening behind the scenes as I've been getting ready for this webinar for today. My air conditioning broke and it's been out for about a month. And in case you're not aware, I live in Sedona in 90-degree weather. So it's actually over 80 degrees right now in this room as I'm teaching. And I am loving the circumstance. I am loving that the internet decided to play games with me this morning, go in and out. It was like all I got to do was just play in the center of my being. And there was not a care in the world. Just like, oh, internet's out. Internet's back. Oh, internet's out again. You know, it's like, can you be love with everything, with every person in your life, with every circumstance? And by the way, the answer is yes, I know you can. It's just you're habitually been trained not to. You've been habitually trained and conditioned into conditional love. Because most of us experience conditional love. That's how we grew up. And I feel like I love the people that are so blessed that their parents fully like engaged in unconditional love. You know, but you know what? Just because mine didn't doesn't mean I wasn't blessed. It's like I got to walk through hell in this lifetime to discover like all the love that was there even through the hell. And by the way, here's the interesting part. The hell is it's just a perception filter. It's actually not what happened. But what happened? Okay, so have you guys ever been in an event where 2 or 3 people are there and you're talking to them about the event afterwards? And what happens is you're talking about it and you find out that like 2 or 3 people that you're talking to all have a different perception of the event. Okay. We see what we see in our perception filters. What if That's actually not what's real. It's just the filter that we see instead of seeing what's real. And what if we can remove the filter and see what's real all the time? So there's a lot of different ways I could have reacted to my circumstances. And I did, by the way. My ego had a blast. But see, here's one of the gifts of the AC going out. I used to, my body used to get overheated in the hot weather. And so I decided, okay, if the AC is going to be out, how do I embrace this? How do I be comfortable? How do I love what's happening? Well, my body's uncomfortable and it feels like there's this anxiety and terror coming up in it. So let me release that. What else could happen? Well, guess what? I got activated by God, like with how do you want me to word it? A temperature regulator in my body so that I could be comfortable no matter what the temperature was. And it was like instantaneously overnight, I'm now a different person and I was fully comfortable in the temperature of my house. When we come from that center of being, that love, anything is possible in any circumstance. Well, let's talk about people and loving people. And I know I've seen some amazing people in this community who drop into their heart no matter what judgments are coming up, whatever. But not all of us do that very naturally. Actually, we can. It's just we've been conditioned out of it. So let's talk about what makes things conditional. And everything from judgment. How many of us have judged people? And when we start judging people, what happens? We start having resistance to them. We start having stories about them. We start fixing in our mind that this person is this way and they can't change. And now I'm upset about it. But reality is all of us can transform in any moment. All of us are infinite in our capacity of who we are. We have this amazing uniqueness and gifts and combination of being that is light, bright, and love, but we're also much more, so much more than that. And judgment is just a way of saying, I don't like this and I like that. The second aspect of conditionality is you need to meet my needs. I have these needs, conscious or unconscious, I have these needs, and you're here to fill them. That was my mother. And of course, that became me because that's what I learned. That's how I saw it. And so I found many of my relationships were need based for a long time. And what happens is that you're like, you need to do this so I feel better. And if you don't, now I'm upset and I'm upset at you. But really, that's the perception filter of what's happening. What's really happening is I have a perception of a need and I have a perception of being hurt by not getting the need met. And instead of getting to the energetic root of that, I'm going to go into a blame level and I'm going to withhold love. And so, does that work? Does that actually get your needs met? Does it fulfill anything for you to go into this cycle of conditioning? So, what if you could interrupt anytime judgment comes up, or anytime you notice that you have a need and it's not being fulfilled and you're getting hurt? Can you drop into the center of your being like you did today on this call? Can you be in that space and be in the wonder of, huh, my need could get met if it wasn't them fulfilling it. I wonder if there's another possibility in which my need can be met. Because it's not about getting the need met or not being met. It's about you're attaching that other person to meeting your needs. And when you're attaching that other person to meeting your needs, you've now set it up as a game where you're like, my needs met, my needs not met. You haven't allowed the entire infinity of universe to meet your needs. You are basically trying to limit your needs to one area, you. So what if we could just open that up and go, okay, so that person can't meet my need today. I wonder who could. Or I wonder how it might get met. So again, this is just coming back to what takes us, our awareness out of unconditional love. And the reason I say awareness is because we're never actually out of unconditional love. We are always being unconditional love. We're always receiving unconditional love. But our awareness slips into our perception filters, which are formed from all the beliefs and all the stories and all the hurts and all the traumas and everything we've ever experienced. And those perception filters, until we're fully awakened out of the ego, are sitting there trying to protect us. It's like, don't go down this path, that's not safe. Don't go here, that's not safe. Oh, that person, no, let's stay away from that person. And it's only because those perception filters know your content of consciousness more than you do. It knows all the unconscious stuff, and it's like, no, that's danger. This is not danger. This is danger. But none of that is real. None of that is actually what's happening in life. It's how we're perceiving life that takes us into what I would call conditional love. Now, I just want to see if anybody has any questions at this point, just to see where we are. Okay, we'll keep on going. So, one of the biggest revelations for me in my awakening journey was discovering how much I played the victim. It was like I was queen of victimhood. I just reveled in it. I had a story and a belief from my family that victimhood is how you solve problems. Victimhood is how you get your needs met, because when you're being a victim, people come and rally around you and take care of you. But the funniest part about it was that did work for my family. It did not work for me. When I was being a victim, it's like everything shut down. And I was like, one day I'm like, wait a second, being a victim really doesn't work for me the way it works for everybody else. I wonder what's going on. And so I got to explore that, and I got to play with that, and I got to release that. And so what I found, especially with my air conditioning, was I immediately was going into victimhood. I'm like, no, I'm not going to choose victimhood. So who can I be? How can I be to be not a victim to what's happening right now? Now, let's bring this into the people example, because I've been giving you a lot of circumstances. So the local community college here had me come in as a technical expert on a Zoom meeting between two parties. And it was a software vendor, and it was the community college procurement. And here I am. This was going to be a series of Zoom meetings. And here I am sitting here in the Zoom meeting. And the tension in the meeting was just off the roof. Both parties don't want to say they're wrong or apologize or do anything. Like there's clearly an issue that occurred. There was a technical issue that occurred that I had evidence of. And both parties were like trying to like hold strong positions so that in the negotiation of the contract they could have the strongest parent. I'm sitting here in the meeting, and all I was getting was flashbacks of my mom and dad fighting every day. And I'm feeling the anxiety and the energy and the trauma, like just like, you know, I'm like getting absorbed in it. And I'm like, I'm having an anxious reaction to this. I'm having an anxious, like, I want to hit leave meeting, get the hell out of here, right? And I went, no, I'm going to choose unconditional love. And I may have had to choose it 20 times in the meeting because I was like, nope, I am not going to have a trauma response right now. I'm going to release what has been revealed to me as a trauma response. I'm going to release that back into God, back into love, back into, the Netherlands. And I'm just going to keep choosing unconditional love, and I'm going to be heart centered, and I'm going to be being centered, and I'm just going to be on the call holding space for love. And like I said, I had to do it about 20 times because I was like, fall into the awareness of trauma. Oh, no, I choose love. Oh, here comes the trauma. I choose love. And so it can be as simple as that, that we are not buying into and believing as true what our perception filters are telling us is happening. The more we get awareness around what we're perceiving versus what's true, the easier it is to be unconditional love for things. And so that's the fun we get to have every single day. Now, this example I was just giving you is really speaking to the last piece here, where we can be blinded by and immersed so much in our reactions that we don't even realize the reactions are coming from story, meaning, beliefs that have been created and not from the actual event that's happening right now. So it's like in this Zoom meeting, when you're in the center of your being, you can start picking up on where's everyone coming from energetically. And you know what? Everybody in the meeting was coming from love. Everybody wanted to take care of their company, their community college. They wanted to do the best they could for everybody. They just didn't have a communication style that made it easy for them to come into harmonious alignment. And so it took longer to get to the harmonious alignment because the communication skill wasn't at the level of unconditional love that they already were and they were already being. So what if you could see unconditional love everywhere? Yeah, I know a few of you do that already. I know it, and I can feel it in the energy. It's like seeing it all and going, "Ah, they're just in a hurt place. They're having a hard time communicating to me, or they're really anxious, or they're really terrified." Okay, yeah, maybe I don't want to interact with them right now, but I can still be loving. So separate the doing from the love. Like what choice you make in how you're interacting with somebody is separate from, like, we have a lot of stories about what is correct doing, what is correct loving actions. Well, what if every action is, it can be loving when it's coming from love, and it doesn't have to be a specific type of action. So what if the love that we are can guide us into the best action for all parties involved? And even if that action is, sorry, not going to talk to you for about a month, or sorry, I love you, I'll give you a hug right now, but call me when you're out of victimhood. Or, or you know what? You just need somebody you just need to move the energy. I'll be here and I'm going to sit here and listen to you with love. I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to receive you fully. Any of those actions can be very loving. So, what if it's not the action that makes you loving or not loving? What if it's actually the being and where your awareness is at that moment? Is it in your being and in your unconditional love, or is it in your perception filters? And so the more we practice moving our awareness around, the more fun it is. Now, I noticed when we started the call and we dropped into this entire bathtub of unconditional love and we connected in with the center of our being. I don't know if you could feel the vibration of this webinar changed. So what if it's just, let me drop into that bathtub right now and just bathe in it for a moment. And then I'll come out and I'll say, okay, what I want to do. Because unconditional love is all there is. It is our primary come from. We're just usually not aware of it. So let's see how you want to, guys, where you want to play with this. Oh, yes. Okay. So here's another piece. The more we are aware of our filters, and the more we can see through the illusion of those filters, the more we naturally drop into love. So, in case you're not aware, my business is called Liberating, and one of the reasons why I chose that name is because I found the more if I find a belief, I immediately release it out of my consciousness. If I find a trauma, I release it out of my consciousness. I am like, I get to be in the pure energy of being instead of the energy of the past meanings that have been created from events. And so the less I have beliefs, the less I have stories about things, the less I have trauma and hurt, which I had a lot of it. I really had I had to do a lot of purging of that. Come to this space. And I still get to do more, and I get to find out where I get to go next. I mean, it's like an end, not never ending journey of like, oh, and what more is possible. The more we see how we can be unlimited and fluid. So, like, okay, I'm touching on some classes that will be going into in more depth future, but hey, this is where we are right now, so I'm going there. What if the only thing that fixes us as a human being and says, this is who I am, this is how I act, and this is where I come from? What if that was only beliefs and stories and meanings that we've created about ourselves? Who would you be without that? So play with that someday, or today, or later, or now. Play with it. So let's talk about one of the other big conditions that we are conditioned into. These are the paradigms of separation. These are the paradigms of conditionality, of duality. They start to create a dividing line that says this is love and this is not. Good, wrong. You like that? Right, bad. Healthy, not healthy. Reward and punishment. Hurt and perpetrator. So many of us have experienced a lot on our journeys. And from our filter's perspective, most of what we experienced was not pleasant and downright hurtful. But what if we could feel the hurt, move through the hurt, release the hurt instead of holding on to the hurt, saying, I am hurt? What if in the moment of one of our needs not being met, instead of like going into the story, because this was a big one for me, what if instead of going into the story of my needs are never met, I go into the story, I go into, oh, my need wasn't met. Let me grieve that need not being met and release that. What if it could be that easy that we're just moving energy all the time? So, why am I bringing up these paradigms? These paradigms put us in the filter of unconditional love. It brings us into a space where we start judging things. We start separating out this is loving, this is not. One of the, I didn't include this slide, but one of the things I love to talk about is the sun and the clouds. Depending on where you live, you either love the sun and hate the clouds, or you may live in a different place and love the clouds and hate the sun. Okay, well, if that's true in two different situations, again, from a filter perspective, not from a being of truth perspective, well, it really just depends on your environment, what you're judging as good or bad. You know, if I'm living in the desert and the sun's been beating down at 110 degrees, for, 120 days straight, one little cloud, I'm celebrating. If I'm living in Connecticut where I grew up, where it's just cloudy for 6 months of the year, the first shine of sun, I'm like, yes, sun. So what if we could just celebrate it all? Why do we have to separate things into right, wrong, good, bad? Now, the other one that really gets hooked with conditional love in relationships is the last one I mentioned here, the more than less than game. I don't know how many of you know that game, but when we're not connected to our truth and our value and our like unique gifts, we can run one of two games. We can either run the less than game or we can run the more than game. And people that run the less than game are more like, I'm not worthy, I'm not deserving, and I was, oh my God, did I play this one really well? And I'm going to tear you down so that I feel better about myself. That's a less than game. Like you're less than, and you're just trying to bring everyone else down so that you're not feeling even more less than. A more than game is somebody who acts and feels superior to everybody. And again, it's still it's the same dynamic. You're not connected to your value. And so you're coming from a place where you're going, it's almost like your ego has talked you into that you're superior and you're better. And spiritual egos are really good at this. Look how good I am. Um, and again, it's not about the other person. It's about you facing that you're not connected to your true worth. And then inviting yourself to connect to your true worth. So all of these different ways we've been conditioned in separation set us up for conditional love. I will love you if you're acting well, if you're acting good, if you're doing the right things. How many of you only love yourself when you're being healthy? What if like you could love yourself when you're being unhealthy? What if you could love yourself in the midst of disease and illness? Like, unfortunately, not everybody can see the gift of what's happening in the moment. As a lot of times we can see it in hindsight. I went through 8 extremely painful years of my body just fully riddled with disease, illness, injuries, like one on top of another, just like compounded. And I was given 6 months to live. The biggest gift of that 8 years was I woken up to energy and consciousness and realized that it's vibration, frequency, and content of consciousness and where my awareness was. that created all the illnesses and diseases. And as soon as I shifted all of that disappeared. So what if we can be so unconditionally loving of everything, of ourselves, of our bodies, of our circumstances, of the people in our lives, of the people that aren't in our lives, of the world itself, of the universe? What could we create? Because we spend a lot of energy trying to either play the I'm going to be good and right and healthy and reward myself and not be hurt and protect myself. We spend a lot of energy trying to create one side of the duality. We create a lot of energy. Like I spent a lot of times in stories about I'm not lovable and people don't show up in my life and they don't love me. And so therefore I am unlovable. And in staying in that place, all I did was perpetuate not lovability because that's all I could see from my filter was not lovable. So what if you could tell that you were lovable even in the filter of unlovable? Can you love the unlovable filter? So we get to just play in all of this. And my invitation to you is I don't care what waters you swim in every day. I don't care if everybody else is there. Who do you want to be? What do you want to choose in the moment? And a lot of people talk about you get to choose, you get to create your universe. Okay. What if the most important choice you make every day is how you want to be with everything? Rather than I want to choose this circumstance because I think when I get to that circumstance, everything's going to be okay. What if I could just choose, I want to be okay right now, no matter what? I'm going to just choose here and now to be that. We get to choose our reaction. Now, we have automatic reactions. So when I say choose reactions, I don't mean like, oh, that exploded out of me and I didn't want that to, and I can't take it back. I'm really talking about, oh, that anger just like split out of me. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to choose to love the anger. I'm going to choose to apologize to whoever the anger got sent to. I'm going to choose to love myself, even though the anger spit out of me. And now I'm going to choose to be very curious about why the anger came out in the way it did and what's going on in there inside of me so that I can clear it and not experience that again. What if everything in life is an inside game? And what if, no matter how much of a victim you are out in the world, if you're not a victim to yourself, if you are totally empowered to choose your own consciousness, choose your own awareness, choose your own unconditional love, you'll never go a day in your life without it. How's that? How's that sound to everybody? Well, you're a quiet bunch. Okay, so any questions so far? Are we tracking? Is there something you want me to cover that is totally off base from where I'm going with this? What were your expectations for the class? Feel free to share it in the chat or raise your hand and talk to me. Let me know if I'm meeting your needs right now in everything I'm sharing. And I do have somebody who raised their hand. Hi, Maria.
Hi, Solaris. This is wonderful. Thank you so much. And it's such a testament to unconditional love to know you were living without AC for this long now.
Yeah, it's been a month. I don't think I announced that on the class, but
And then, the internet, I mean, I can't imagine, going into a class like this and not knowing if you'd have it stable. So, just you're a testament because you're able to hold that frequency and be okay with whatever the outcome, knowing that you're cared for and that you are supported and you're loved unconditionally by source. And then, of course, you're putting that out as well. And so I just think you're such a great example. And I'm so grateful you're my coach. teaching this class. I think for me, the biggest challenge I have is holding unconditional love for myself. You were talking about loving
Yeah,
ourselves in the midst of disease, or, right now not being, 100% thrilled with my body. And I think that's the biggest hook for me, because I find that it's very easy to be unconditional love as a coach myself to others, with family, with
yeah,
friends, with situations, but the level of criticism I place within myself or toward myself is what I know really hooks me. So I'd love for you to address if there's any other tools, or just how we can really come to the full level of love that we each deserve to give ourselves.
absolutely. Um, Thank you so much for your question. And thank you for, all your acknowledgements.
Yeah.
You do embody a lot of love. And I love to bathe in it. It's wonderful.
Yeah, thanks.
Um,
I want to love myself as much as I love others.
I
And
know.
I do. I've worked so hard on this, and I am so much further than I've ever been, but I can just tell it's the body stuff.
And you are further than you've ever been.
Yeah.
However, it's not about working hard at it as much as it is about awareness. So let me ask you this. When a judgment comes up in your head and you hear it, what happens?
I would say that I believe it.
Okay, what if you didn't?
And yeah. And I can catch myself and say it's not true, but somehow it still hooks me.
Absolutely. And that's
Like I
because
know the truth, but yet I still move into that cycle. And then maybe I'll make a choice that I decide, um, I'll just do this one day, and I'll eat this one thing, or, you know, and then it just kind of turns into 10 days of that. And one of these days I'll do that. And, it just becomes a cycle of, behaviors that aren't loving to myself. And but it's not even that the behavior is not loving, it's just that I'm judging the behavior.
exactly, you're judging the behavior as not loving.
Hmm.
Yes. Okay, so first off, there's two levels of buy-in to a judgment that shows up in your head.
Yeah.
The first level is, can I see that that's not true? Is it possible that's not true? Where I'm interacting with that one particular belief. And I either agree with the belief or I disagree with the belief. Okay. The agreement and the disagreement is still ego content. It's like the ego's trying to shuffle itself.
Right.
And the second level is, oh, I hear a belief coming. I know beliefs aren't real. So instead of trying to counteract the specific thought, I just go, oh, that's a judgment. I don't play in judgments.
Mm, yeah.
So you can hear the second level that's going on there.
Yep.
I'm not trying to agree or disagree with the judgment itself.
Uh-huh.
I'm noticing the judgment going, you're a belief, or you're a trauma, or you're
Hmm.
a story, and I don't want to play with you. So
Hmm.
I'm going to release you to God, I'm going to release you to love, and I'm going to dissolve you entirely. And at that level, you're dissolving the judgment.
Yeah.
A lot of people, when they play at the first level, which is, I'm going to try to counteract you by making you not true or arguing with you or whatever, all you're doing is you're adding on a conflicting layer
Hmm.
where they both now coexist. And now you're sort of in duality, like playing back and forth with each other.
Yeah. So I'm just recognizing, yep, you're a judgment. And rather than the buy-in of I'm judging myself, or I shouldn't judge myself, it's just an
Yes.
awareness and an identification that I'm judging. Oh, you're a judgment.
Yeah. I mean,
No
there's,
attachment to it in any way. Just it's a judgment, letting it float by.
yeah. Oh, hi, judgment. Did
Hmm.
you want to come up and go to God and like dissolve it yourself? Oh, goody. See ya.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. And the one thing I'd love to just experience with your teaching, slurs, because I know that you've superseded so many diseases because of your shift in consciousness, and
Yeah.
health, and also age reversal, and the flowers and all the things that have just like preserved around you, including the vegetables in your fridge and all the things. I mean, I know that aging isn't real, yet I look toward all of these biohacking modalities and things, creams, supplements. So, and also as a health coach, an epigenetic health coach, the buy-in to our DNA, we know that our lifestyle um, can affect our genetic expression, but I also know in this consciousness, we don't have to apply meaning to any of that. So I'm just ready to have a breakthrough around it all. And I guess this is a huge first step in just the awareness of it being a judgment. But I'm excited to experience much more around this with you in future classes if you offer them. And also in
Absolutely.
coaching, for sure.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So, you just like unpacked a whole bunch of
I
things. So
know.
let me, where am I going first with that? Ah,
Well, it was more of a comment too. I just know there's so much more to
yes.
come, but I can just see that it's just there's one level of just judging particular habits, and then I know there's a whole other layer of circumventing all of these beliefs about biohacking as well.
Yes. Absolutely. So first of all, um, even when we choose to use physical modalities to support us, it's also love. It can also be love.
Right.
It's like, yes, have I elevated my body to a level where I don't have healthcare and I don't have doctors and I don't do anything because I just know anything that happens, I can heal, I can heal energetically. Yes, I've elevated to that point. And during my journey, I used some of the tools that I needed to use in order to support the body through the transformation into a higher level of frequency and vibration where I can just be unconditional health. And yes, speaking of, this is coming. There will be an unconditional health class somewhere down the line about
Yes.
how to embody that at a frequency and a vibration level. Um, I basically, oh my God, there's so much I could talk to on that. It's so funny. Um, I don't use beauty products. I don't, I maybe moisturize my body. I don't know, on and off, maybe 2, 3 times a month total. My body makes its own water, so it just stays hydrated. I mean, like there's so much magic that is possible in this world when we fully embrace the whole spectrum of everything. So the first thing I wanted to address was, yes, is it possible to be all of this through vibration healing through vibration frequency um and energy transformation? Absolutely. And can we also embrace all modalities that got us there?
Hmm.
So
Mm.
it's not an either or.
Yeah.
And the second thing, oh my God, I just love you. You're so fabulous. Um, there are lots of interesting classes that are coming up. In fact, actually, I have so many different things that I am excited to share with people, but I also know that to get to these classes, you need a foundation of really getting one, that you are transformational energy and
Hmm.
that anything can be switched and modified within your being, within your consciousness, and you can bring it into reality. Two, I mean, the flowers, they choose to be vibrant. They're just being vibrant. I don't know if they're going to stay with me for 10 more days. I don't know if they're going to stay with me for a month. I don't know if they're going to stay with me for a day. I just get to enjoy them now.
So, Larissa, I've had that kind of flower. Those ones are the fastest to lose their petals. So that's amazing. I mean, within a day or two, those are the ones that are dying in the bouquets first.
Yeah.
I don't know
And,
what
and
they're
you should,
called, but
I should have taken a picture when I first got them. They were sort of like, I was like, I walked by them like the second day that they were here in my house, and they're like, So much more is possible in our lives than we can imagine. And I want to bring that to you. But to get there, you got to be able to move out of the ego perception filter and really see what's beyond the filters that we see the world from. And so thank you. I'm very excited. That's part of why unconditional love is one of my base classes. It's because the
Mm.
more we can see through the paradigms of right, wrong, etc., this is sorry. I just got this is great. I just got a chat that says, now I understand why food in my fridge isn't spoiling so quickly. So this was really funny. Ray talked to this. Let me tell you what happened was right back when inflation started really kicking off and all of our food prices started doubling, we started having a conversation with being that I am and with God. And I said, and source, divinity, whatever words you use. I'm like, how can I not? I don't want to be a victim to inflation. How can I not be a victim to inflation? And the answer that came through was my food doesn't spoil anymore. So, so if I buy a bunch of vegetables and I overload, they'll last as long as they need to last for me to eat them, even if it takes 2 or 3 weeks. I think some of the people on the call actually witnessed this. I had salad that I chopped up. It was a week old. I was flying to Hawaii for a trip. I packed it up, took it with me on an airplane for like, travel was like a 12-hour travel day where it's not even refrigerated. Bring it to Hawaii, put it in the fridge there, and it lasted a few more days until I was done eating it. And these things are so natural, and we've been conditioned out of the magic of life.
Mhm.
And I'm excited about bringing more of that magic back to us. And every day I discover something new. So it's like, it's not like, oh, I've hit the magic level and now we're in the no, it's like, oh, what else is possible? Oh my God, that's possible. Oh, I wonder what else is possible. Oh my God, that's possible. Oh, I wonder what else. It's like, it's this constant opening of discovery of what is possible for us. So, so yes, so Maria, we are definitely on the track for you to get your breakthrough and choosing it. But the key here is seeing through the illusion of the judgment and not engaging in the judgment.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now, what's going on with the hook? I'm wondering about that. Why do you get hooked into that? There's this, okay, when I'm picking up in the hook, why you get hooked into the judgment is, oh my God, this is funny. Your consciousness wants you to be fully free, not restricted free.
Mm. Yeah, that's
And
really good.
and what's happening is you think that I have to be on this strict line here to be healthy. And at the moment, there's a piece of that that is necessary, and you get to love that. But it doesn't want you to forget that all the things you've judged as unhealthy can be healthy too. And it wants to free you from that paradigm.
Mhm.
And that's why you go on your binges.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you get to let go of the judgment of those binges.
Yeah, and those have become less and less and less. So I know that there's something happening, which feels good. But yes, I don't feel fully free yet.
Yeah. And we get to keep like freeing you more and more and more.
Hmm. Thank
Yeah.
you, Solaris, so much.
You're welcome. You're so much fun to play with.
Mhm.
Thank you. Okay. I'm just going to check and see how everyone's doing. Is there any other questions in the field that we want to play with? Okay, so I'm going to call on somebody in the field who texted me earlier with a question. So I'm going to ask if she wants to unmute herself and talk, or if she just wants me to talk to the question without her identifying herself. And if she can let me know in either by raising her hand or in chat, I'll be happy to do either. And I think you know who I'm talking about. Okay, so she must still be listening because I'm not seeing a response either way. So let's play with, what do people mean to you? I want you to each take somebody or something, as a person, a pet, a piece of clothing, your car, your house, your sanctuary, whatever. Pick something that you just absolutely love and want in your life. I'm just going to give you a moment to pick that. And I just want you to notice. First, I want you to look at it energetically and say, can you see the attachment string? Can you see the energy that you're attaching between you and that person, that object, house, sanctuary, whatever? Can you see the energetic tie there? And I'm going to give you different instructions because I know everybody perceives things differently. And so I'm going to give you different possible ways of decoding this. And in case you're not aware, as a coach, I am 100% customized to you. I am always looking at all the different perceptions that are coming in and saying, okay, this perception needs this tool, this perception needs that tool, this perception needs that tool. So I'm always looking at how to serve you in the way that you receive. So one of them is at the energetic level. And so some of you are going to see that energetic attachment. Some may be able to just play and just break the attachment and release it. Some may have the attachment very strong and can't see it. Okay, so that's one tool. Let me play with the other ones. What if you were not to have this in your life? Notice what comes up for you. Is it stories? Is it beliefs? Is it a loss of feeling? Is it like a feeling of loss of love? Is it feeling a loss of safety? Is it a feeling of abandonment? Whatever that is. I just want you to feel that for a moment, or see it, or witness it, however it is you experience it. Okay. Can you embrace that feeling or that story? And I don't mean embrace it from the make it real, make it true, make it, oh my God, yes, this is what keeps me safe. This is what keeps me in love. This is what keeps me, not lonely. This is what, whatever, or feel the abandonment, or feel the loneliness, or feel the, like my needs are not met, whatever that is. Can you embrace all of that spectrum of energy? From the being that you are, from the center of the source of love that you are. Can you witness this from that place? The more we can embrace the full spectrum of life with unconditional love, the less attached we get to things. The attachment to things comes from all the meaning we've created with that thing. So on my journey to unconditional love, because trust me, I was unlovable. I was wounded. I was hurt. I was like codependent and like I didn't want people in my life, but I wanted the love. And I'm like, how do I do that? Because if I bring the person in, it's pain. And if I don't bring the person in, I'm not loved. And it's like stuck in a cycle of love. um, what I realized in my journey is there was one thing that actually in this world that made me feel unconditionally loved, and that was cats. And I had this incredible affinity for cats, and I had this incredible ability to understand cats and be with them in a way that they just fully embraced me, you know. And the interesting thing about cats is they're amazing conditional love detectors. It's like the moment they sense you want to do conditional love instead of unconditional love, they run away. And they're like, if you can step into unconditional love and love everything about them, they come running. And it's just like, they're just amazing detectors of energy and field and need and attachment and all that kind of stuff. So, wow. So, what happened was on my journey, and this speaks to something that Maria said a few minutes ago about sometimes you need something in the physical world to support you in this energetic transformation. I started becoming a house sitter and a cat sitter. And so I got to play like a collection of 20 cats all over town. And I got to like stay in all these different houses with all these different cats. And I could feel it was like a phenomenal experience to feel if they pulled away or didn't immediately react to me, I could feel all the hurt and the pain and the trauma coming up and like surfacing. And if they came towards me, it was like, oh, I could suppress all of that because now I could feel love. But the biggest gift of this cat sitting was I didn't get attached to one cat. And so I got to experience the flow of love through all of life instead of the flow of life from one being. And as I was able to disconnect from specific cats to provide my love for me, and I started to connect to the internal love that I am. And some of you who know me really well know I don't always feel love for myself. But I realized that that was a story about I expected to feel something in order to feel love for myself. And so I had a story that took me out of the love that I am. I know it's like, mind games. But I was like, oh, what if I'm always connected to love? What if this isn't about I have to get back to self love or I have to re embody self love? Or I have to reconnect to it. It's not connected. I don't know where it is. It's like I got to install the program and I can't find the program to install. It's like, no, what if I just switch into the being of who I am and experience the love from that place? And now I don't need a cat in my life to feel loved. So I'm using this as an example to play with because when we are attached, what happens is you're now playing in the duality where you're going to feel good or not feel good depending on what's happening with that attachment. When you connect into the beingness of all and the unconditional love that is infinitely available at any moment you choose to move your awareness to it, you can live without attachments. And if you can live without attachments, you can truly be unconditional love with people. Because no matter how they show up, or if they show up or don't show up, you're not waiting for this need to be loved to be fulfilled by them. And so you're not in the duality of my love is being fulfilled or my love is not being fulfilled. It's like that's the ego perception game of is it filled or is it not filled? So can you connect in to the deepest part of you and ask the being that you are, or source, the universe, divine, God, the angels, whatever tools or whatever beings you like to play with, the fairies or nature, just ask that being, what is my highest and greatest relationship with this person, with this animal, with this, you know, place or space or sanctuary or car or whatever it is? What's the highest perspective? Where do you want to take my awareness? What do you want to reveal to me right now about my relationship with this person or thing or being? What we want to do right now is activate the unconditional love of all people, of all circumstances, of all timelines, of all universes, of all possibilities. And if you're willing, you'll see a switch in front of you where you can turn it on. So it's totally your choice. And it's okay if you don't. You get to be loved even if you don't. It's okay. And as you turn on the switch, if you choose, just let it into your energy, let it into the essence of your being, let it into your life, let it into your heart, let it into your mind. And if you choose, ask it to support you every moment of every day in choosing unconditional love. And be open to what wants to reveal itself from that choice. And what if the infinity of who you are is so special and so rare and so gifted that it knows how to unfold your life in the most amazing, loving way possible, even better than the ego can possibly consider as the best way to move forward? And what if you were to allow this energy of being that you are to take care of you in the love that you are? And that's my invitation to you. Play in unconditional love and play in the infinity of being. And if you want to keep playing with me, Lots of opportunities are coming. You can, you can play with me as a one-on-one coach. You can play with me next month's master class, which will be on October 21st, Awakening Beyond Perceptions. And more programs to come. I'm just getting started. So I'm going to open up to questions. And if there's no other questions, we will close today in a beautiful prayer of love. How are you all being? Thank you all for coming out and playing with me today. I so appreciate each and every one of you. And I love that we got to play together. And if you so choose, I'll see you next month. I love you all. Okay. Have a great one, guys. Bye.